There are games that look good, and there are games that play well, but every once in a while there's a game that comes along that has a unique artistic vision. Replaced is that game. I played the demo last month, and it just hit different. I needed to see more, and I can tell you now that I've finished it, it delivered. The pixel art, the combat, the story, it all came together in a truly unique experience. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why it stuck with me. I usually start with gameplay, but the pixel art above all else stole the show. The main character, Reach, always looks heavily pixelated, but the background set pieces that he moves through are stunning and constantly plays tricks on your eyes. It'll be really pixelated 1 second, giving you that retro feeling of like Super Mario Bros. On the Super Nintendo, to current gen graphics the next second. I don't know how they did it. And don't even get me started on the lighting and particle effects. They are top notch and are one huge piece to making Replaced stand head and shoulders above other pixel art games and graphics and artistic vision. I can't tell you how many times I'd be jogging through a level, stop in an instant, and just stare in awe at the beautiful surroundings, fixated on it like I was put into a trance. I mean, just look at this one scene where a huge spotlight from a train car is piercing through the darkness in search of Reach. Or when Reach lights a torch warming up the empty blackness of an abandoned mineshaft. Or how about the light pouring through these spinning fan blades, drenching the room in red? Sorry, are you still with me? I just had to snap out of my trance again. The other huge piece to all this is the camera movement. The camera's fixed so the player can't move it, but it's being panned around in interesting ways and zoomed in and out, giving the game a more cinematic vibe, especially when moving from one area to the next or room to room. You aren't stuck in rooms or tight spaces all the time though. You'll travel through a lot of different locations. Sometimes you'll be in a house or sneaking through the ductwork of a building. But other times you'll be back at your home base, trying not to trip over down trees in a forest, or scaling tall buildings and swinging across rooftops. There's a ton of variety here. The developers clearly had an artistic vision in mind when making Replaced, and they nailed it. Then they paired it with subtle but impactful sound design to engross you into the world even more. The pixelation and sound design carries over to the platforming and combat. I was really surprised how much platforming and more quiet moments there were in Replaced. The developers seemed to create this intentional pixelated delay in Reach's movement. It takes some getting used to. But what this does really well, it slows the game down and lets you take in all the scenery. This is really what hit different for me. I just got lost in the world itself. Then the game throws you into combat. It puts you in these arenas where you'll face off against a ton of enemies in what I would call Batman Arkham light combat in a 2D setting. You don't have as many tools at your disposal like Batman does, and the combat is slower and more deliberate. This approach lets you hear and feel every swing of Reach's baton. You also feel the impact of every gut punch or bullet you take. It once again gives you that more cinematic feel. There was this one fight early on in the game where it transitions to a cutscene, and the guy's like, "He got Dale!" Then the rest of the enemies react and attack you. There were moments like these in the game where it made me chuckle. I don't know, it must be my weird humor or something. But anyways, once you get access to the laser gun early in the game, you can power it up by attacking enemies with melee, then perform these sick takedown finishers. This is where the combat really gets cinematic. It zooms in to just you and your foe as you perform an acrobatic takedown that ends with a bullet to the enemy's dome. There are also segments where it briefly slows down time, like when you perform a gun parry, shooting their bullet back at them. They do a wonderful job of drip feeding these new equipment and abilities throughout the approximate 12-hour runtime. You'll start with the baton, but you'll also steal the laser gun off a dead guy's body and later gain access to a pickaxe. The pickaxe allows you to shred enemy armor in combat, but it also carries over to the platforming, where you can use it to cling to degraded walls of crumbled stone. The levels in the game are primarily linear, but there are some side missions and other paths you can take that reward you with some nice passive upgrades for Reach, especially in the little town community that you join, which immerses you into the story even more. The story is the last crucial piece that pulls everything together. You play as Reach, an extremely advanced artificial intelligence created by Warren Marsh. Warren is a brilliant man trying to create something better for the human race to overcome his tragic past. But he gets manipulated by the Phoenix Corporation, who uses it for, you guessed it, evil. After a massive explosion causes a radioactive catastrophe that ravages Earth, the Phoenix Corporation is established, and uses Reach as a medical tool to predict human diagnoses. However, they only help the people they deem worthy. The rest they treat as disposals. People they capture to harvest their body parts for transplants, then discard them as human garbage. Some are still alive, left to live out the rest of their days in misery. Warren knows that his creation is causing this devastation, but he just can't convince himself to destroy Reach, and transplants the AI into his own mind. Warren overworks himself, destroying a Phoenix lab and his own mind in the process. This is where you take over as Reach. Reach tries to keep Warren alive while he's on the run from the Phoenix Corporation. He gets rescued by this man named Tempest and finds himself among the very disposals generated by his own program. What starts as a mission to get back to the Phoenix Corporation to reconnect and save Warren turns into this unforgettable journey about an AI becoming sentient. As Reach witnesses the huge hearts and helping hands of the disposals, begins to question his creator's intentions, fights back against evil factions, and finds out what it really means to be human. While the pixel art, combat, and story are nearly flawless, I wanted to quickly mention some minor bugs I encountered during my playthrough. There was this one section where the text for the subtitles froze on me, and then there was this one time where enemies didn't spawn in a combat sequence where I had to restart from a checkpoint. I also found that the pickaxe didn't always register quite right when you click the button after jumping to cling to a crumbled wall, which led to my death a few times, making me restart the platforming puzzle over again. These bugs were only minor, but they didn't stop me from enjoying the game. I really enjoyed every moment from start to finish and replaced, and I think that's a rarity when that happens in video games. Pixel art games are barely ever on my radar, but this one really hooked me with the vivid world, the developer's artistic vision, and the engaging story of humanity they wanted to tell. This truly is pixel art perfection. If you're looking for another game with artistic vision, fun combat, and an interesting world to explore, then why don't you check out my video for Absalom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.